Hey, good evening, Galleon. Mayor Tom O'Leary back. Must mean it's Monday night, and gee, as you can see around me a little bit, I'm starting to surround myself with paperwork. I think that's indicative of the time of year it is in the city budget, the city management cycle. That means that we're preparing, spending a lot of hours on the 22 budget. Uh, I'm more optimistic about all the various parts coming together, which don't end simply with the passage of the budget, but end when the city auditor has the 22 budget up and running so that we can pay salaries and bills early next year. So we're starting to move forward on that. As I said a second ago, I am more optimistic about all the parts and pieces coming together, and so have that in front of me, and I just didn't feel like cleaning up before we went live tonight. I do have a handful of things to start with. I'm going to use the old bad news and then get to sort of the good news items first. The bad news is today we received a notification from Ohio EPA that for the second quarter in a row, the TTHM levels that have been discussed going back to last quarter and have been, I would call it a recurring problem now, because the last time that happened was back in, I believe, 17. But we're always monitoring for that, and really disappointed that we need to notify you. Those people who have been upset or concerned about that in the past will be uh, doubly concerned. Those people who aren't as concerned about the TTHM, I think this is a matter of us correcting a problem that we thought we had resolved, but we still have some more work to do. One of the So that's the update. You're going to get a letter. Um, as upset as you are, I trust me when I tell you I'm more than a little bit upset about it, and thought we had it remedied, and so we're going to say politely redouble our efforts. Um, some of the items that you'll see as we move down the road in the city budget that I referenced really at the outset will be some areas to look at and pay close attention, to the extent that citizens pay close attention to budget proposals, or actually the appropriation is passed later this year, the end of the middle of next month. But the water fund and how we propose to tackle both immediately some of the things that are causing us to need to notify you, and then probably more important from my perspective, what we're going to do over the next year or two and then on into the future to assure that this doesn't happen, and that we're moving back towards a condition where we can proudly say that we have among the best drinking water in the area. So that's to start with. Upset about it, on the way to remedy it. Expect to hear some more maybe alarmist claims about what people need to be worried about or not worried about, and so we're going to try to address those head on, as open as we can about them. We may get some questions about what this means in the near future, or what I'm referring to when I say we're addressing it. I don't want to be understood or caught in a situation where it just sounds like another bureaucrat or politician flapping their jaws. It's one of the fundamental things that we do here at City Hall, and that's produce the water that you drink, and you have every right to expect something that is of high quality. And without getting into excuses about how EPA lowered the standard, da 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 da, I don't think that is irrelevant. So we're working on it. I would say, almost quite literally every day, and trying to come up with a way to avoid that happening in the future. But I think more important is not if you will, failing the test, it's having high quality water. And I don't want to lose um, focus on that. EPA is there to keep us aware of the standard, but our goal has to be something other than just EPA compliance. It has to be quality water for Galion area residents. So, except I don't want to say, consider that an apology. Consider the fact that we're going to work on it, and I hope you accept my apology, our apologies. And I think the only remedy is to get this problem from reoccurring. So we're working on it. I don't want to say we're on it. I'll let you know next quarter after the sampling's done then. Hit 3 or 4 other things, see if we have any questions. We were, as everyone knows, and you've heard about it on the national media, people have different opinions about it. But I wanted, and that being the supply chain issues and the dislocations because of shipping international and regional locally. Wanted to, I guess, put a city government spin on that, and let you know that we have over a dozen projects, between 13 and 15, depending on how you count them. What I mean by that is some of the projects that I'd add to the list of behind schedule are things that we'd really planned on doing in 22, but all the schedule for many of our projects has been bumped out of schedule, and we're having to look at when to deliver a number of projects. When I left the office today, there were 2 sets of plans. This is in that category of projects that we really thought we'd be delivering this year, and quite honestly have nothing to do with the supply chain, but we just received plans to build for that second phase of the bike path. Our hope is to go ahead and get those approved for bidding by council as early as the next meeting, and hopefully have that project bid and awarded, perhaps under contract yet this year. I think there's some value, some wisdom in getting this type of project, any project, bid this early in the 22 construction season. One of the things is it allows any kind of drainage material, any kind of drainage structure, anything like that to be ordered, and it also gets I think contractors who's had their whole 21 season all dislocated by these very things I'm yakking about, get them a project for 22 in the books and ready to get on top of when the weather breaks next spring. Might be that if we get this awarded, the winter isn't too brutal, that they'll be able to do some of the work in terms of clearing, getting ready of during the winter months, but we'll kind of see how that goes. The rest of the list of projects includes about 8 approved, budgeted, but yet to be constructed freeze projects. And so one almost literally needs either a map or a small slip of paper to keep track of them, but they range from the bike path I was just talking about to dog parks at South Park and Kobe Park. One of the projects that's soon to be added to the list, but we just got approval of funding today, partial funding today, is a bathroom out at Kobe Park that would add something better than a porta pot for those people that are interested in the dog park, the larger dog park out at Kobe Park. There are 2 projects at East Park. One is the reconstruction of the baseball field. The other is the resurfacing of the parking lot. And I had a kind of a cheap reconsider moment that I'll talk with Service Director Ward and the people that in charge of the street department. And that would be, instead of resurfacing the parking lot out at East Park, perhaps sealing it. It'd be a big project either way, but we'll kind of talk about that. One of the reasons we backed away from resurfacing the parking lot at East Park is that it was nearly $40,000, and It's a little bit more than we had allocated, but that's a big, partially, shall we say, funded freeze project. I don't know where they're going to attach the plaque for that, funded by the Freeze Foundation, to the parking lot, but I'm sure that they'll have a way to get that done. Couple of other projects. Again, I am going to list them all, I think, just to see if I can remember them. We have the Park Square project, not funded with freeze funds, but funded with state capital bill funds. We've been, pestering, we'll just use that word, the architect to get us a set of plans so we can sell that. It's been, won't mention who the company is, but really disappointed with the architecture firm. Kind of hard to imagine that we can't get a set of plans given the relatively simple project, but enough on that. Moving to Heisey Park, there we have materials on order for a new shelter house there. It's, if you ever rented the shelter houses in Heisey Park, it's the Frank shelter. It's the one that most people want to rent. And I think it, in combination with the bathroom, Graders Park, kind of where the festivals that we have in town tend to be during the summer. I think it'll make a real nice combination, sort of a completing of improvements there in that part of Heisey Park. And then, it seems like I should forget one. I'm not, and that's Pico Park. We have that project, the netting out there under contract, and that's probably the one that is most interrupted in terms of getting started, getting the project going by supplies and materials. That and the dog parks. We try to stay in contact with those people. So it's not a great time to build a fence, but we're going to pursue that. Again, I'm not quite sure how many projects, 8 or 9 projects. We are moving ahead, kind of, I won't say full speed ahead, but we're moving ahead on a few new projects that would be freeze funded, but I think we're also deliberating the idea that when you have 8 or 9 projects in the pipeline, so kind of a small shop we have here in the mayor's office that executes all these projects, and so we're going to look at maybe not biting off, if you'll accept that term, too many more freeze projects for 22, but I think that's part of the budget deliberation, part of what eligible entities may request funds for. Before I get off of the projects, the one that I think I'm most excited at this point, and we have if you will, a planning meeting, and out of this meeting, I think we'll really begin to get a design and get plans ready for the depot renovation. I've talked about this before on Monday nights. SCAT, the area transit organization, has been able to secure a pretty significant grant, and we've been working with them. They've agreed to headquarter their Crawford County operation at the depot. What that means is about $300,000 of funds coming from ODOT to SCAT. That combined with the money that the city's already committed for 21, and potentially some money that the new council will, that will put in the budget for 22, and will actually have to be added to the budget or to the pool of funds in 22. But I'm pretty optimistic about getting the inside of that depot renovated and put into new use, and as well as bring the parking lot from its kind of rapidly deteriorating shape into a handicap accessible and asphalted, hard surfaced parking lot. So I think all that, I know that we're really looking forward to partnering with SCAT to get that done. I don't remember, Matt, what Felicia, because that's not a real common name. Felicia, I know, Freibel. Sorry, Felicia. In the off chance that you watch this. A person on Talk About Galleon, is that where that popped up?
Yes.
Yeah, so it popped up and it was like, what would you add to Galleon? I found that really useful. we all can think of examples of how Facebook or Meta or other social media is misused, and everybody's opinion on what's misused kind of varies certainly. But this what Felicia put on there, F squared we'll call her. What she put on there was I thought really valuable. I had way over 100 responses on what things we need in Galion, really along the social services, make the quality of life better. And so I found that really useful. What I wanted to mention, why I brought that up, is we keep a real close eye on that social media. So the main reason is because it pointed out something that I'm convinced, we're convinced, we'll be addressing with the completion of and the reuse of the depot. And that's the issue of transportation. I mean, there are all kinds of responses, and I encourage you to go back and talk about Galion. I think that's where you find that. But there were I was really the notion that we're investing in that depot in order to have a little local transit hub. I was reinforced by the fact that so many people said we need to improve transportation in the community, and I don't for a moment think that just means white buses with SCAT written on the side, or little white buses that Council on Aging runs. But I do believe that public transportation and having that facility here is part of the need that was or not demonstrated. What's the right word? Voiced by people who responded to that post. And our goal over the next handful of years is to get a daily route up and running that would either start or stop or include a Galion, perhaps Ontario, Bucyrus, and some of the frequently recurring requests for transit service. People who use it know for the most part, you got to call the day before, and that doesn't always match up with somebody's need for transit. So I think having a daily schedule, let's just say for the sake of making the point, 3 or 4 loops, frequencies a day, I think that has some real potential for improving mobility for students, elderly, people who are without a license or can't afford a car. So I think Felicia's question surfaced, at least the notion that transportation or gaps are important. I also think it talked about a taxi service, it talked about an Uber, other sort of more 21st century transportation needs, but who's to say that those can't be addressed? So I get what I'm saying in a long roundabout way is that I take a look at that social media, and after I get done reading people criticizing me, the mayor's office, or whatever, we move on to some of these other things. And I got to be honest, I enjoyed the suggestions about how to improve the community more than the criticism, whether the criticism's founded, unfounded, or not. So I better stop there. One of the places that starting Wednesday will be a new destination in town is Buehler's. And so I'll be out there Wednesday. I have no book to promote. I'm not signing autographs, but I'll be out there. I'll be fighting with other old people for the best turkey in the freezer, and so I'm really excited about being able to go to the new Buehler store, and things start happening Wednesday. I don't want to be shut out on the turkey. One more point on that's more serious. This investment that they've made, I'm not sure exactly what it'll tab out, but it's between $750,000 and $1 million in bringing that store up to shape and getting it going. I don't think that includes the stocking of the shelves, but Buehler's has made a super big commitment to the Galleon community, and we got to support them. We got to support them. And so I expect to hear, heck, all food's gone up in price. So please don't call in here 2 weeks from now. Oh, I really like the store. It wasn't that much different. And gee, it's expensive. No shit. Food's gotten expensive. It doesn't have anything to do with Buehler's. But keeping Buehler's here and keeping that investment they've made in the dividends it'll pay for local people, whether, well, I've got mobility. I can drive to here or there and pick up my groceries there. It's kind of the wrong way to look at it, folks. So I'm not telling you where to shop, but if we want Buehler's to be successful, get up there, spend your fair share of your grocery dollars there, and when I see some of you in Ontario or maybe in Bucyrus at Walmart or Myers come up to me and say, "Bust it, you should be over at Buehler's," I'll try to point to something in my cart that I can't get here in town, but I'm serious about that. We work really hard. A big collective, to get this to become a reality. See you Wednesday, and make it a successful reality. All right, I got a couple more things. We'll stay on the Buehler's is here. That gives us a reason to shop for Thanksgiving. Also gives us kind of a reason to be thankful. Once again, Ohio Comp, what is it?
Ohio Comp.
Ohio Comp, all right. Most businesses in the city of Galleon, other jurisdictions I've worked for many years, hire a firm that assists us in managing our worker comp claim. Okay? Negative way to say it is we make sure that injured workers don't get covered. That's really not fair. It's increasingly gotten to be a rehab, get people back to work. But as anyone who's been involved in a workers' comp claim, or in the off chance they've worked at workers' comp or has had contact with that system, it's important for the employers, in our case, City of Galleon, to have a firm that helps us manage those claims. I want to say it's the third year, might be more. That firm has been the group that has sponsored. I think this might be the fourth year. I think we threw turkeys down the front steps of the city hall. That was kind of a joke. We literally passed out turkeys. 2 years. First year it worked perfect. The second year they got stuck in traffic, I think in Canton or something, and the phone was ringing off the hook. Where's my turkey? Last year, because of COVID, and again, I think because of the pandemic/endemic nature of COVID, they are sending the city 75, how many?
75.
$75 cards?
$20.
$20 cards. Oh well, 20's better than nothing. Those cards will be available at 6 of the local church-related distribution sites, where you go get food, and we'll put those up on the website. They're the usual suspects. They're the same entities that we pushed out those 75 $20 cards. So, I think that's even under 21 prices. You probably get a little turkey for $21, but nothing's. If it's government passing out, they'll probably exaggerate the size and the volume of it. In this case, as Matt said, 75 $20 cards. Sort of stay tuned to our website, and you'll be able to see what locations, and then we'll try to have you contact those folks in terms of how available they are. In most cases, they have a lead person who's kind of used to getting bothered what a bad choice of word, getting calls when somebody needs food, and respond pretty quick on that. All right, I got one more thing, folks. It's almost time for me to go home and watch football or something. Recurring theme in town, and I think it's probably going to be out there in the community as long as people have an opinion about whether the sleep-in is an asset to the community or it's no big deal, I never stay there anyways. Something along that continuum. Just an update on that. As I think many people are aware, the foreclosure and sale of the hotel has taken place. Kind of two updates on that. One, last Friday, we as the city got slightly more than $100,000 check from the bank. That is basically best understood as back TIF payments. So that's a good thing. If you follow this at all in the social media, villain, hero, sort of like, I'm neither one, I suppose, but we are not villains when it comes to the financing of the sleep-in. It's kind of irritating when some people continue to present it as such. So anyways, got 106,000 Friday. We're in the final stages of working out with the county auditor the rest of the settlement that is going to the county. We think that we've got a significant portion of those dollars coming here. But when that happens, I think we can say what we've assured people for a couple of years now, since the original owner got into financial trouble, that we protected your interest. There's no money lost, and so the one of the major problems with the failure to pay those TIF payments, that's been taken care of, and we're working on the last piece of it. So I think that's an update. Feel pretty good about it. We're not party to the sale, but the city has been in conversations with the original lender, who is the seller of the hotel, and I believe they're very close to having a new owner in there. The new operating company has been operating for a few weeks, and although I don't have committed to memory, I know somewhere in my schedule there is a commitment for a reopening out there. So to the extent that that's a public event, we'll let people know. If it's just a cheesy smile, grip and grin, cut the ribbon, I'll be out there, the cheesiest guy in town. It's pretty important. I'm really glad that that thing has found a new owner, and really appreciate council working to kind of rearrange the TIF to make sure that happens. So good news is the previous owner's paid or is in the process of paying all that was owed, and the new owner is I think excited about being here, and almost like a dog, like a shepherd, what do they call those things? Sheepdog, out there counting sheep in the field. I'm prone to, when I go past the sleep-in, see how many cars are out there, and it is encouraging to see. On the weekend, I imagine there's a lot of local family members. There's all those reunions and stuff. During the week, it's generally going to be a business clientele, and I don't know what the data will show exactly, but my sheepdog count seems to me that they're doing all right through the week, and I think that we'll do what we can to keep that ship moving down the road. So that's just a couple items on the sale of the sleep-in, back taxes or back TIF payments, and I think a new operator that, like I said about Bueller's, the extent to which people are coming into town either to do business or personal visits, we gotta encourage them to use the Hometown Inn or out there at the sleep-in. All too often people come to town and end up staying in Ontario or other communities. That doesn't do us nearly as much good as having them stay here in town. So all right. At the risk of droning on and on, I'll stop there and see if we have any questions.
Okay, first question tonight came from Dawn.
Yep.
She asked, has the city selected a city Christmas tree yet?
I don't think exactly. There was that thing on the I think on the internet, and I saw it in the Inquirer, and I think, what did you tell me, 10, 15?
10.
10. We have 10 people have volunteered, so I'm not sure exactly. I think if it's like it's been in the past, the line department, who will be responsible for the most part for bringing it from the site to putting it up in the square, they'll make a judgment on feasibility of ease and limited risk to any anyone along the path. Certainly any risk to our electric lines. You had an awesome tree, but it maybe too close to get out safely. So we're working on it. So if you still have a chance, Dawn, get your entrance in. But yeah, we have a decade of volunteers out there, and so I think that's a good thing. So, no need to over answer that one.
Okay, thanks, Mayor.
Hey, Dawn, see you up there Wednesday. I imagine it's a friend who was asked for weeks and weeks, months and months. We're trying to count it up. I don't know how many days. Maybe I'll know that by Wednesday. And then the chance anyone wants to quote me as I'm doing my personal shopping will know. And definitely, they're going to have a formal ribbon cutting reopening a little bit further in the year, later in the year. I think they're using the approach you see a lot of times in restaurants anymore, and that is sort of a soft opening. It'll allow the operations people to kind of get a handle on their job before they get hit with a big. And I want to just one more thing. I hope there's some more questions. One of my kids, probably the only one that really talks much on Facebook. Some people would say shoots his mouth on Facebook. Had a post a week or so ago that I thought was a well-stated one, and he wrote it. I didn't. I wish I'd wrote it because it was a good point. But he was making the point that give these people some breathing room. It's a big operation. It's brand new to them, and let's support them and keep an open mind. Don't go in there the first time and find all kinds of reasons to be upset, and then back to Walmart I go. So be patient with them. You'll probably know most of them. From what I understand, a large number of the people who secured employment initially are locals, so it's a good thing. And I did want to mention that since I don't know, it was a week or so ago that one of my sons posted that. So, all right, any questions?
Dawn actually had another one.
Okay, good.
She asked, "Is the ice rink going up?"
Yeah, yes, it is, and yes, it is, and we'll do a better job of getting it up sooner. And again, you can only cooperate. I mean, we can only do so much. So we're still in the end of that leaf drop, and we got snow. But yes, it is. And so while you'll not see me out there on the ice, I'm hoping that if we're gonna have a tough winter, it's at least suitable for ice skating. All right.
And I'm double checking, but those are all the questions I saw.
How can that possibly be, Matt? We have all this interesting stuff, a kind of a not interesting football game. Gosh, you never know. And to wrap up here, it's no laughing matter. I'm not joking around about the TTHM level. Nobody's going to get is in trouble in terms of getting fired over it because it has so many aspects to getting it right. But we're going to be sort of determined in not taking this continued situation as the status quo. So I think that's real important. Some of this other stuff may be a little okay to joke about, but that certainly isn't a laughing matter in any way. So what time is it? 35. Any more questions?
No.
I'm going to open up something that is, I think it gets into the category. I have two more thoughts. One, it was observed to me by somebody at City Hall who has a track record and an ongoing interest in providing sort of modern journalism. And so I told this fellow, I said, I don't see why you can't continue to have information out there. And so, as I said last week when we closed, if this thing is wearing out its usefulness, then we've got to have something else. But the primary purpose of doing this is to get information out that the Inquirer just can't cover all their bases. I think we have a really pretty cooperative, good relationship with the Inquirer. We're not stomping on each other's toes or trying to do anything but the same thing, which is to inform local people of news. So we're going to continue to do that. And so in that vein, I've been keeping a really close eye on developments in the state of Illinois that get into this whole category of climate change. And I'm just going to point your attention to legislation in Illinois. Quite honestly, before the election, I wasn't going to bring it up because I thought it would be used in a provocative, sort of scary way. And provocative in this sense that in Illinois, there's some legislation that would have the impact of shutting down Prairie State far before its useful life and shutting back its production, limiting the amount of carbon it can produce, therefore the amount of electricity it could generate pretty significantly before the city's debts are taken care of. Let's say about three things and then say, get on Google, search it up. It's like a black cloud. I'm not sure it'll open up and drop a foot of snow on us, but it's something to be mindful of. Early this year, as soon as I took the president and his group seriously about this climate change, that it's existential, it has to do with the existence of the United States. I don't believe it for a second, but I believe that they were serious about that. And so began keeping a real close eye on it, researching it. Yeah, that's something a freshman tells the prof when they really didn't do it, but we kept an eye on it. Notified Congressman Jordan about it early this past year. And you know, Jim Jordan can't influence the General Assembly in Illinois, but they passed a piece of legislation. I expect, and my advice, if you will, to the other cities that are part of AMP that have a piece of Prairie State is if they're going to shut down our asset, then we have what I would consider actionable ground. So I'm hoping that AMP does something to stop the implementation of that legislation. So keep track of it. It will have no or very limited impact on rates over the next 12 to 24 months. But it's my job in part, council's job in part, other cities' jobs in part, to make sure that Ohio communities aren't as adversely affected as they may be by legislation in Illinois. So I'm the non-lawyer, I'm the monologuer in this thing, but really think in it and have offered that up as a remedy that we can't allow our asset to be shut down prematurely without some sort of recourse or damages. So what I'd recommend is read all you can about the legislation, and we'll try to, and we will have an informed and hopefully minimally emotional conversation about what Galleon does. Um, Maybe a little bit just in conversation this year, but in earnest early next year. So I'll sign off with that. I started with TTHM notification. I'm going to end with Prairie State Cloud. But I think it's real important. I think this is something that this forum, this medium allows is sort of a give and take on information. And so I want to be the first one to let you know. You're going to be getting that in your bill about the TTHM. And I also, those people who are concerned both about the environment and some of the responses to climate change know all they need to know about those situations as they affect the Galleon's investment and commitment to the Prairie State project. So, all right, I'll stop. Did that provoke a question?
Not yet.
That means everybody must have gone to sleep, Matt. So we'll just tuck your young kids into bed and share this with your friends. But a lot of information tonight. See you Wednesday at Bueller's, and keep the faith. Keep the faith. Read the newspaper. There's some election results. I don't want to get into them because anybody who knows me knows once I start talking about them, I'll get into stuff that's not that important. So we'll just say the recount in the first ward happened today. There looks to be a result, and so my job hasn't changed. It'll be interesting to see what the new council, what directions they take, and so. Congratulations to those that won. It's amazing, a coin flip makes you shake your head, but those are the rules, and that's what I got to say for tonight. So plenty of stuff happening here. You see Brian Satterfield out on the street. Give him a pat on the back and a big cup of coffee and tell him to keep working hard, because his role between now and the first of the year is going to be real important for as the city turns its budgetary corner from 21 on into 22. So those inclined, say a prayer for Satterfield. He needs it. Anyways, I appreciate you listening. We'll see you next week.